Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to today's conversation on Gifted Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, and I am delighted to be joined by Cindy Marie for the program this evening where I am, morning where you are, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
So, Cindy Marie, thank you so much for joining me for the program this evening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Wonderful to be part of this journey together to experience what we're going to experience today.
And our topic is the importance of your story. And I think it's really important to read. I don't know about you, but so many people say, "Oh, leave your past in your past."
Hmm.
But our past is who has made us. It is what has made us who we are today. And so my feeling is, if we share a little of our own story, our past, the past that we're in that process, we're in that journey of
Hmm.
healing, so that we can help people to understand why actually our story is so important, because it supports us in so many ways. So please, Cindy Marie, start by sharing sort of a little of your own story.
Sure. Thank you. And I agree with what you said. I before just I shared my story. I hear it many times from different people that I have connected with that, oh, my story is nothing. But I always encourage people that you have a unique story that only within you. So share that, especially in journey of where we are right now. So a little bit about myself or my story. I was a people pleaser. And how does that actually started? Because I'm the only one in my family members or in my siblings that born in South Africa. And so when my mom brought me back to Philippines, where I'm originally from, I have experienced this multiple times, even when we moved in Indonesia, that being mocked by multiple people, and even with my own family members, that they will tell me, you don't belong here. You're different. You have a different father. And so, when you're younger, you don't have a kind of understanding what do they mean by that. But with the behaviors of people, you kind of understand that, oh, what they meant about that, therefore I have to do something. And so how that ended up being a people pleaser, because I want to be belong, just like a baby girl or a young girl, you want to be part of whatever you want to be part with, and especially you want to be loved. And this people pleaser dragged me all the way to my adult life. That affected my relationship, like personal, romantic, friendship, in jobs, you name it, being in a community. So I was affected in being a yes person because I want to belong. I want to be part of it. And so, but the beauty or the magic of it, as I experienced many situations or events in life, I started to reconnect or understanding who is really Cindy Marie, and being who truly I am. Back then I didn't know that was already a gift. I always have this courage to speak the truth as I grew older. And I started that when I speak that way, people would feel like, what are you talking about? And I've been challenged, Sarah, for many years of my life back then, when I haven't really embraced who I am really. That many people, even in my corporate jobs or corporate life, many of the leaders were telling me that you are not going to be wherever you wanted to be because of your attitude. And then someone actually told me that, that if you decided to quit, you're not going to be here. You're going to be outside. You're going to go back to Philippines, and like, belittling you. I've been exposed with multinational companies, and being Asian, being a female coming from third world country and not holding any fancy or very well-known credentials, that really took me a leap of proving myself multiple times until I realized, you know what? accept it. Okay, people telling me I'm different, and so be it. I've been resistant. I've been resisting this voice of me that you're just different, but it doesn't mean that you're not worthwhile. You're not worthy. And so I went for my personal journey of really self reflection. And this was happening before 1 year before the COVID. And so, you know, I became who I am right now, doing a lot of things because I truly believe that there's always a power within me, speaking the truth, being authentic you, and showing your vulnerability, just gonna draw you to the right people. And for example, having this conversation that it might not touch more people's lives, but I'm not like having that expectations. Oh, I have to. What I have in life is that understanding that I wanna be authentic. I wanna speak the truth. And if there would be people out there listening or watching right now, touch them. Amazing. If not, then keep on harnessing my authentic me because I believe this is my gift. My gift is my voice. And I've been hiding myself, not believing I have my power in my voice. So, apart from navigator, as what everyone calling me a coach, I've been doing this podcasting and I've been sharing with people that I'm a singer with my speaking because that's just me. And I'm pretty happy, feeling peace, a very liberating feeling. And I want to share that feeling, emotions to people because we all deserve this kind of feeling. So that's my story.
And thank you so much for sharing. And I'm going to share a little of my own. And doing this because our story is important, knowing what's happened to us, if you can, elements of why it has happened.
Mm,
And I was scolded by a boiling milk coffee that went all over my face, down my neck, and the jumper that I was wearing stuck to my skin. And I
wow.
wasn't even a year old. I spent 3 months in hospital.
Wow.
But back then, so 64 years ago, so back then, parents weren't allowed to stay with their children. Parents, in fact, the rules of the hospital were parents could visit every other day for an hour. The
Mm-hmm.
reality for me was because of the circumstances of my parents, mum not driving, dad needing the car for work anyway, and the distance from where they were living to where I was in hospital, meant I
Mm-hmm.
saw once a week for an hour. You talked about the people pleasing. And absolutely, that left me feeling unwanted, unloved, not good enough.
Yeah.
And the system has realized the damage, the emotional damage they caused to children back then by keeping them away from their parents,
Yeah.
especially obviously the mothers. But I came out of hospital after 3 months. That was 3 months, including my first birthday.
Oh, wow.
Came out of hospital after 3 months. My parents had moved, so I didn't even go home to familiar surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was heavily pregnant with my sister Gillian.
Mm.
Gillian was born in the August and died 9 weeks later.
Wow.
For me, as a little one of 18 months old, I'd been rejected by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been rejected by my younger sister. It was just rejections.
Mm.
As an adult, I get it. It was circumstances.
Yeah.
My parents no more wanted to only see me once a week than
Mm.
I wished to be dumped in a hospital, because I'm sure that is how it felt to this little baby. I was in pain. I was in desperate need. My mother said I wouldn't leave the wounds alone. They actually had to pin my hands back to prevent me from scratching at the wounds, which was, I think, why I
Mm.
was in hospital for so long.
Yeah.
Um, my sister dying, it was a condition that they only discovered, which she had a condition when she was born that
Mm-hmm.
apparently had put itself right, but she needed a blood transfusion. They couldn't give her that blood transfusion because her belly button was blocked. And back, 64 years ago, that was
Yeah.
that, yeah, they hadn't got the things they could do today.
Yes.
But actually, the autopsy proved it was something else that the hospital had actually missed. And she'd spent
Mm.
half of her 9 weeks in hospital. She just happened to be at home the night she died. And initially, she was classed as a cot death. So my parents were investigated. So you
Hmm.
think about not only the trauma that this tiny little girl went through, but the trauma that parents went through.
Yeah.
But that led me to being a people pleaser. Absolutely. Sort of we get that. Some people will go into people pleaser mode. Other people will go into the anger, the
Yeah.
frustration. The, they're seeking acknowledgement in a totally different way. And
Agree.
that's what we've got to realize is with our stories, we all react in our own way, creating what we hope will be an outcome. But for most of us, of acknowledgement, feeling loved, feeling wanted, feeling cared about, because something that has happened in our lives, it might even be just a single word. Somebody has said something that has really cut us to the core of our being. So we
Hmm.
should never ever underestimate words with children,
Yes.
actions with children,
Yes.
and circumstances, as well as events with children. It is so important to be open and aware of the harm, and I mean the word harm, because it causes pain and trauma that it does with children. Would you like to sort of add anything to that? Just knowing that there's aspects of similarities, although very different, within our own stories.
Yes. I mean, I think when you mentioned about feeling rejected, that reminded me of very tough, tough situation when I was younger in Indonesia. This happened in Indonesia, and I don't remember. Maybe I was in the 6, 7, 8 year old, and I my mom was having this like a relationship with the guy, and then she invited them over, and I was sleeping, I think, in the living room, and you know that was a molestation happened. I'm not gonna break down the detail, but there was a molestation, and I as a young girl, I don't know how will I respond or react, but what I did, I just move a little bit, so kind of this guy will notice that, oh. And then suddenly my mom made a noise or trying to call him. The next day, this was the painful that I can still remember, and it's still keeping me. I can have a teary eyes whenever I'm sharing this because it was painful. I felt the abandonment. I told to my mom. She didn't believe me. The only person who believed me was my sister. And that happened multiple times. And it took me so many years to forgive myself and to forgive my mom. It's so interesting that while sharing this, I'm still having these teary eyes because we just talked about the healing process. And I can tell that I'm still healing on that. And that resonated with me that, you know, even though the paradox of feeling rejected, I still trying to please them, right? Over time, I felt like, why is it so difficult to me for me to feel loved? And I really had an intense relationship with my mom because I know so many things that really led me with hurting. But thankfully, with the self reflection, that led me to acceptance. And My mom, I don't think she knew everything of what I've gone through. And I know that my mom also still in a lot of pain. I can still feel that. And this is why I'm sending her care and love, because if I'm going to be more angry with her of she didn't really recognize that, because I do believe that people either don't mean it or they're intentionally doing it. But I know that my mom was not in a position of knowing herself better on how to recognize what is right and wrong. And she was totally in love with this guy. And so she believed on that part rather than her daughter. But I thought to share that with you with the rejection. And this is why, for me, the word abandonment, I'm still having that healing process, because whenever I experience that with people that close to me, the good thing now is that I will share to people whenever I felt that I felt abandonment. I know you don't have harm intention, but I just want to let you know I don't want it to happen again, because I think it is very important you express, right? You communicate what you feel, and there's something within you that you're doing that for you as well. So I don't know if you would agree that also allowing people to understand how to build a deeper and great relationship with you by knowing what works for you and what you're healing still on. And other thing is creating and building that strong and healthy boundaries. So that's my my story on your what you shared. A little bit drama or teary eyes.
But I think we're all still going through the healing.
Yes.
For me, it was it actually took, for want of a better way of putting it, another trauma that was the wake up. And the wake up for me was actually a broken jaw. The dentist broke it, extracting a wisdom tooth. I can laugh about it now. I definitely couldn't laugh about it at the time. I was broken for a week. I'd heard the cracks. I knew something wasn't right. And obviously I was getting loads of pain. But when you sort of can't get the toothbrush between your teeth because you can't actually sort of move your jaw,
Oh
and,
yeah, I know, I know.
and then going to the hospital and sort of saying, sort of, I think my jaw's broken. Dentist broke, extracted, and to get the triage nurse saying to me, "Don't be stupid. Dentists don't break jaws." And it's just like, seriously, Chip, well, you're going to have about a 4-hour wait. I did have a 4-hour wait. They eventually said, "Oh, come on, all right, we'll X-ray it." I couldn't even get my teeth round the clamp because I couldn't move my jaw enough to do that. So they had to X-ray it the best they could with me not being able to do what they wanted me to do. And the triage nurse came and saw me. She didn't apologize in so many words, but she admitted that she will never doubt somebody who says the dentist broke their jaw again. So she did come. She came. She actually made a point of coming and seeing me. And this was 25, 26 years ago, something like that. But it resulted in 6 months of pain and sleepless nights. I was still in people pleaser mode. I'd got one marriage behind me. I was in a sort of second marriage. And that actually ended up by breaking up as well. But it really did. I was so exhausted because of the pain and sleepless nights. I hadn't got time. Gratefully, I never had children. But I hadn't got time to run a home, be an area manager, work with, I was studying accounting at that time, and I was a people pleaser. So all of that, I hadn't got the energy to keep working full time, run a home, study, and people please. I was exhausted. And things had to give. Nothing gave immediately. It really didn't. They eventually got the pain under the control. They got that sorted out. But eventually the marriage went. I then got told we were all going to get made redundant. Yes. Actually, that was a really positive for me because my whole life was taking steps forward. I'd had the courage to step away from a relationship that was not working for me. And
Yeah.
that's really important. And suddenly the universe gave me the next steps. I didn't see it as my life falling to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was able to see it as actually I'm stepping into a new future for me.
Yes.
I sought help. I did seek help. When I broke up the marriage, it was just a matter of, okay, why have I been this people pleaser? Why have I been the way I have been? I wished to understand. And so I asked to go and see a psychotherapist.
Mm.
And so my journey started with the cognitive side of things,
Mm-hmm.
with the talking side of things, the thinking side of things, the understanding side of things, but not from the side of things I now work, although that's all been really, really useful.
Yeah.
It really has been useful. So for me, that's been my journey. Then I discovered the energy healing. But it
Mm.
was really good. I only went to see a psychotherapist for 10 months.
Okay.
And then it had to come to an end because I'd moved town, sort of 2, 3 hours away from where they were.
Mm-hmm.
But she said to me, you have achieved in 10 months what most people can't achieve in 2 years. It's about attitude. It's about your reason for doing things. Are you involved in the process?
Yes.
It's not about expecting other people to make your life right for you. It is about that support. So we're here today sharing our stories
Yes.
with the hope that it will help people and support people with their own story, their own, what I refer to as healing journey,
Yes.
to be able to move forward in your life. It doesn't mean you have to leave people and places behind. It did for me, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to.
Yes.
But it's about your growth, and it's whether the people around you can grow with you.
I
And yeah, it's a strange one. It's a difficult one for different people in different ways. But please share more of your journey into sort of to yourself.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned about relationships and expectations. And I've got so many stories with that as well. One of the actually like two specific relationships I have before I got married. First one was my naivety and my innocence because that person was my first official serious boyfriend. And I got so many red flags. But I was in people pleaser mode. Therefore, and I have this attitude back then that, and I think many women still believe this, that we can fix our partner. I'm no longer in that position, especially with my husband now. Like I can influence or I can help, I can give whatever tools that I'm practicing right now, but it's not upon me whether he wants to change or not. Anyway, it took me a lot of many painful situations before I gave up. I surrendered because it was a really intense and suffocating relationship. It really killed my self-esteem more and confidence. I felt more insecure in my entire life, and it wasn't easy for me to let go of that relationship until I don't know what happened. I just felt like, girl, you deserve more. But I thought by letting go of that situation or that position and that person, I will be better. It took me longer years to really embrace and love myself more because I had a lot of, if we can call it flings, short term relationships. I had that. And I experienced. But the good thing is that when I know, as I finished the first serious relationship, every time I had this short term, I know when to get out. I think because the investment of feelings and love were not as deep as compared to my first one. And then eventually I met my second official boyfriend, I would say. Yeah. It was tough because really, I would say I experimented myself to be in a different identity, like be half, meaning to say love and financial stability. So wasn't really deep connection, but I see the potential to grow with this person. After just 2 years, I felt that my inner voice, the kind one, was telling me something is not right. And I have this really deep and intentional when it comes to money values. I don't want to have the money as a cause of conflict or arguments. And though we didn't have that much, but I slowly sensing that if I didn't do the right way when it comes to finances, then we will have this discussion. And one day it took me really, I mean, I'm a very brave person, I would say that. I see that many, many times. And I took a lot of difficult decisions in my life. And that's one of those of many. I just broke up with him and that night. And I was so shocked on what he did. But now I'm very grateful because if I didn't do that, I will having this different, partnership life. So when I broke up on that night, what he did straight away, he asked me to get out, as if like we didn't really, exchange our love, our bonds, everything. It's just like cold-blooded man. And I know he felt pain. I just felt like, okay, I embraced that because he was in pain, but I didn't know that was coming, and I said, eventually, things getting better of knowing myself more, I started to really love myself more. And I told myself that I was already in my early 30s, and I told myself I'm ready to have another set of relationship, but this time it's my own terms. I'm gonna loving myself first, and Sarah, I didn't mention this earlier. My love journey also a reflection of my family, because most of my family got really, I would say, blinded with love stories that perhaps they could have a beautiful journey of life where they can be right now, that they deserve, but they chose to wherever they are right now. And I have nothing against with that, but I just know that we all deserve beautiful and more love. And this is why, again, I always take something, the values that resonate with me, and practice that more. And therefore, I told myself, I'm going to love myself more this time and see, really surrender that if that person appears, then I will have to. Before I got married to my husband now, I'm very open with this story anyway, that it took me a decision to core values, because we have to work on deeply with our love. Love can disappear, but we have to work on that to keep on growing. And I said, okay, well, this guy proposed to me. How can I evaluate myself that I'm good for the next 5 years with this guy? I look into his core values and we resonated. It's aligned. And that core values keeping us together. We have so many same interests, same beliefs. Of course, there's still differences, but I think if you refer to your core values with a person that you're going to live and stay and be a companion for a longer term, this is what I always tell to people. Validate or check the core values, because that's very important. If you disconnected with your core values, that's going to impact your higher self. And so I thought that, that resonated with me in terms of your relationships that you have shared earlier.
I think it's the love of self we're not taught to love ourselves. And when we have experiences that actually help us to feel unloved, and we're definitely not taught that it's okay to love ourselves. Whoops.
Yep.
Lean on it and it went. And there's a lovely saying by a lady called Alice Little, and I never get it perfectly right. As a traumatized child, we are desperate for that adult to come and save us.
Mm,
Don't understand is that adult is ourselves.
yes.
It is only us that can save us by loving us, caring for us, setting the boundaries, forgiving ourselves for allowing, once we're of an age to understand the allowing
Yeah.
of things that have happened to us. It is so important for forgiveness of self. And I
Yes.
think this is the journey that we've gone through within our healing. So many have gone through within our healing. It's learning to love yourself. It's learning to set those boundaries. It's learning about the forgiveness. It is also learning about the gratitude.
Oh, yes.
I know it's strange as it sounds. I am so grateful for everything that has ever happened to me, because I wouldn't be who I am, where I am now. And when you can find yourself in that space of being comfortable with yourself and being happy and content, and you can be totally honest, and you set the boundaries and you stick to those boundaries, and you're learning to say no to others and yes
Yeah.
to yourself, you're also learning to hear no from others, which is really, really important. And I love that saying from one of the famous actors, and it's, I am so grateful to all those people who said no to me. They made me do it myself. It is exactly what it's about. Each of us, our healing journey is about our involvement in that. Yes, there are those like myself, like Cindy Marie, like so many others that can support you on that healing journey. But
Yeah.
if you don't step into being involved in it in yourself, finding Reiki for me was, I remember sitting on the stairs in the little house I had at the time and thinking, what can I learn that supports me? I can't learn massage because you can't massage yourself. And I almost have that feeling of putting my hands on my shoulders and think, I just can't do that for myself.
Mm,
But it was almost as I offered it that as a request to the universe. And within a couple of weeks, I think, Reiki. Somebody said to me, when you learn Reiki, the first person you treat is yourself.
yes.
That was the beginning of the journey I am now on.
Mm,
But I had to have the breakup of the marriage, the loss of the job, the going to the psychotherapist. I had to, and the move from where I was in Northampton to being in Bournemouth, I had to have those to get me to that point. And it's being true to yourself.
yes.
It really is about being true to you. So the reason we are sharing our story in this is to support those of you that listen to this,
Yes.
to realize that we can share our story. Yes, there may be still Sarah, what's the word you're looking for? Anyway, bits. Let's use the word bits that affect us.
Yes.
But on the whole, our story now becomes our power rather than that thing that subtracts power from us. And if our story supports you, your story at some stage will support others. That is the importance of story. So, sort of, please Cindy Marie, share
Yeah,
on.
I just to everyone watching or listening right now, and we are in the place of, if you are in a position whereby you're just feeling lost and you feel like you are nobody, Sarah and I would tell you and encourage you, you're not nobody, you are somebody. The power is within you. The challenge, what we, majority of us having, is that distractions, the noise, that we're allowing ourselves to be part of it. I can guarantee 100% or more than that, there's something within you telling you subtle, because it's still not accepted within you. That's why it's still subtle. But when you recognize that inner voice, the power, the gentle, the kind, the love, this will guide you over time, will tell you. Someone mentioned, one of my distant mentors say, my heart is my intuition compass, my inner compass. Whenever I feel something is not right, I will just trust my inner compass. And this is what I can think of to add on when someone's telling, or when you're telling to yourself, I don't have a good story to share. That's not true. That's your limiting belief that we are all conditioned by our society. When we don't have anything external validation achievements, therefore you're nobody. We all have dedicated gifts, talents, and skills that we have the power with. We just have to embrace that. And if you are not in a position where you are surrounded by people to lift you up, of embracing who you are being, then it's time for you to take that one step of finding the community, finding the people, or sharing your story to yourself by journal, maybe, of allowing that and starting to believe that, yes, I have the power. Eventually, like what Sarah said about energy, energy, emotion, you know, this will move you to slowly allowing you to get that to happen slowly. But this tiny step requires your involvement. You've just got to believe that slowly but surely it'll happen, because we are all deserve the love, the peace, the ease, the freedom, the abundance that we are all looking for. But that one thing that require us to happen is to take that one step, and the most important, simply ask. We, as we grow older, I don't know, maybe you would agree with me, I have experienced this many times, that because we created that egoistic mind, therefore, oh, I'm this person, why would I need help, you know, this person couldn't help me, I'm somebody. Especially for those who have achieved so many things, yet still feel empty a little bit inside, and afraid or having that egoistic to ask for help. We are in a place or a generation or dimension that showing or asking for help or seeking for assistance never ever going to be a sign of weakness. This is actually a place for you that you allow for something that beyond your power. Therefore, somebody could help you, and help is just out there. We just have to take that one step.
It's very much trusting that what is the help you would like?
Yes.
What help resonates with you? For me at the time, I was totally unaware of all the energy and things that I work with. I was totally unaware of it. But that was perfect at that time.
Yeah.
It was really perfect at that time, because the cognitive side and spending those 10 months going to the lady I went to, but it has also supported me with now the work that I do, and realizing that people who do that type of job, it's about the listening.
Mm.
It's about you being able to open up and be totally honest to somebody who's going to be non-judgmental. And I remember sort of coming to, I think, an understanding about something and going and wanting to talk to my mother. And I
Mm-hmm.
went back to her afterwards and I just said, but she didn't understand. And all she said to me was, she's your mother. She doesn't have to understand. She loves you anyway.
Mm.
Um, which actually, bearing in mind how I had felt over the years, still necessary, doesn't particularly resonate with me, but it's that acceptance of the fact other people don't have to understand. The most important person to understand is you.
Yes.
You come to an understand. I can stand back, sit back, whatever, as an adult and look at what happened to me and know it was circumstances. Any story, and I don't use the word story lightly, it's because it's our story. It is something that is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that should be taken lightly about people sharing what has happened about to them in their lives.
Yes.
Whereas some people can take that word story and think, oh, it's just a story.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It's get rid of that sense that the word story is something light. It's not.
Yeah.
Uh, but on the other hand, it's not that heavy either. Because it can be a gift.
Yes.
And I hope that what people will take from this is knowing that people go through things, they affect them adversely, especially when it happens in childhood.
Mm.
And children really have no way of knowing how to deal with these things.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain degree, until you come to that understanding of circumstances outside your control, you don't know how to deal with things. But when you come to that understanding of, right, my parents had no control over that. They couldn't go to the hospital and say, I'm staying with her. She's my daughter. It couldn't have happened. The system wouldn't let them.
Mm.
Now the system has changed because of understanding. What happened to you? And sadly, I've heard it too often in respect of abuse. And I've even worked with men that have been abused.
Mm.
It's not solely about little girls, it can be about little boys too.
Yes.
And it is hard for children because you to some children it could be, is this what it's really meant to be like for children?
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if somebody turns around to you and says, no, this isn't right. You hear it in a school or you hear it from sort of somebody that this type of thing shouldn't happen to children. And you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking that it's happening to me and nobody's listening to me. And it's really, really difficult for children. It's desperately difficult for children.
Yeah.
And that is where the hurt, the pain, trauma, and how many children are actually affected by post-traumatic stress.
Mm.
And but for me as a child, I hadn't even decided that was a thing that existed. When you think of people that all went through the war and it was called shell shock, but
Yeah.
that's what they're going through. It's taken years to realize that people can get affected by things like that at a very deep emotional level.
Yeah.
And it's how do we support people and how do we help them to heal that? And there
Yeah.
are many different things. There really are. And it's for everybody to find who and what can support them in that process of being able to love themselves, believe in themselves. I say to people is, you're very special. Everybody is special in their
Yes.
own unique way. No one is more or less special than anybody else. And that is coming from somebody and who that is the last thing they ever felt about themselves, because that is what I've come to understand. And when one of my clients one day said to me, "Oh, Sarah, you are special," and I looked at her and said, "Yeah, I know." And there was absolutely no conceit in that, because they knew that I know everybody is in our own unique way.
You
And so,
mentioned about someone told you, sorry to cut you, about
yeah,
you are special. That just reminded me before I forget about it. My husband will always remind me that you're amazing. And I would just like, I know that. But again, not with a conceit, but like you just know because you finally embrace who you are being. And I think from what you said earlier, working through your self awareness is very important because through that, and you will have a lot of resources or tools when you accept and embrace of going through the self awareness journey. Because the moment that you have figured or understand, I'm not saying that once you figure it out and that's it. We are a lifelong journey students, I would say here. But when you already invested in that journey, it really gonna help you with whatever aspect in your life that you want to work on, because you just know where you have to laser focus on, and you know how people can treat you or speak with you. You know what you want. And I think what many people, sadly, in the journey or the generation we're having right now, we tend to move our needles to what we believe from the outside, but not really from the inside with what we believe, and pursue that. And this is why the feeling of anxiety, depression, and all of that negativity coming from not allowing yourself to know yourself better and have that opportunity to dive in. Because, again, like what Sarah said, we are all special. We all have these dedicated gifts. We are not more than or less with anybody, and we can't really compare one another, because we have different stories to begin with. We have different way of coping or accepting or resisting, and until then we know how to be free flow in the journey and accepting as what is. And I think this is why in every conversation I'm having, or with the clients that I'm having, or even in the speaking like this, I encourage people to spend and invest self awareness, because through that, you will have that battle proof in our noisy, busy world on how to respond with that. Yes, we will still feel the negative emotions coming from the outside, but we know how to recover. We want to recover fast, not to go into a different level of negativity, because that negativity will lead us to more assistance that required. Then it will also delay us for what we're working on. And I thought that's important for me to share, because that's what I have experienced with many people I'm speaking with, even with family members, even with friends, that we allow the society to continue the life that we thought gonna bring us abundance.
I think it's important to realize that there's an awful lot of unlearning to do
Oh
for all,
yes.
masses of unlearning for us all to do. You know, as a child, we take so much from our parents. We are taught by our parents what they tell us, what our teachers tell us, what our grandparents, aunts, uncles.
Yeah.
We're learning from what we are told by others. And it is told by others, but it's
Yeah.
also what we are witnessing and what we are experiencing. They become our understanding of life.
Hmm.
As we grow older and we sort of move out of the family home, whether it's just into a school and we start learning things from different people and it's watching and witnessing different things, visiting other people's houses, and we see things differently.
Yeah.
Because what goes on behind closed doors, for so many people, you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors unless you're behind those closed doors, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but and slowly, and then and religion and so much and politics and everything. It's the whole of life, and you can either continue to be, and I'm going to call it a rut, be in that rut of everything you were taught and you witnessed and experienced from your family,
Mm-hmm.
or you can, because that's how I put it when I sort of left my second marriage, and it was just like, I feel we lived in parallel ruts. Yours was lined with rose petals, mine was lined with rose thorns, and
Hmm.
I wasn't putting up with it anymore because it wasn't where I should be.
Yeah.
I'm I'm sorry it hurt him, but I got to that place of, do you know what? This is about my life. This is about me. Yeah, and I had words said by various members of the family, etc. And it was just like, yeah, but this is about me. It's not about things. It's not about anybody else. It's about me. And it's being able to find that courage
Yes.
to actually say, things that I have been taught, things that I've witnessed, things that I've experienced, these no longer, well, did they ever resonate with me? These are things I'm happy to let go.
Yes.
And letting go of what no longer works for you, if
Mhm.
it ever
I think so.
did, makes way for those new things to come into your life.
Exactly.
By having the courage to say, no, no more.
No more.
You make way for what is to come.
Yes. Oh God. So love that. And I want to reiterate that I think many of us, when we seek for assistance or help, that, for example, you as the healer, energy healer, um, like the leaders, right, that will help them, that it's going to be us to fix them. It's going to be us taking the action. So I want to let you know a lot of myths about that, that when you seek for assistance, when you seek for help, that it will disappear over time because we're going to do the work for you. No, the involvement is still within you. We, two of us here, serve as a tool. We are your tools to help you navigate you to move forward. And but we are not the one who gonna take you there. It's gonna be you yourself and yourself. So be open with that. And of course, if you would like to move forward and serve you best, again, you have to build that courage, strong foundation, because you're gonna have a lot of negative words, criticisms, judgment from old you that no longer serving you, that will tell you, oh, it's okay, don't you feel happy when we'll be like this, be like that? Oh, you're just give it a year, you're coming back to us, and so on and so forth. But allow that. That's part of the journey in my experience too. And I believe Sarah will agree on that, that when we start to embrace that oh my God, there's something is different that I have to take forward. And if you can't take that criticism or negativity, of course the roller coaster, you feel like you're having this battle, because that's just part of the journey. But I want to tell you that if you allow yourself to accept that this is part of your process, this is part of your healing, this is part of your acceptance to become the best and higher version of yourself, you're going to see yourself in a more peace and abundance and joy.
We can do it. We're doing it. You can do it. Everybody can, but you have to choose it. You have to participate in the journey yourself. You really do. And we've had to.
Yes.
I haven't got to where I've got to without really being true to me and accepting the fact Reiki, I learned it because the first person I treated was myself. And I
Mm.
really did. I made a point of giving myself a session every day. And it was after 9 months. I had no intention of teaching it, learning to do anything more with it. After 9 months, I said I'd do my level 2. The day I finished my level 2, the course, I knew I would go on and teach.
Yeah.
But I was using it daily on myself.
Oh, yes.
And I still do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in a different way, but I still do.
Yeah.
What are you doing to support you? That's what it's about. How
Mm.
true are you being to yourself?
Yes.
How much are you acknowledging what has happened to you as actually being a gift? Because it is, as hard as that is to believe,
Mm-hmm.
because your story, you're growing through what happened to you, is potentially a gift to somebody else, to
Yes.
them, which is why we've done this program today.
Yes.
We are
Absolutely.
so close to the hour. So, Cindy Marie, is there anything finally that you would like to share with folks before we actually close the program? And do by all means give them your website address, and I will make sure it's under the video on YouTube as well.
So, first of all, Sarah, thank you so much for this opportunity of sharing realness and honest conversation. I truly, truly appreciate you. For everyone else that where you feel it resonated with you, where you feel that something that deep inside of you, there's a thing feeling that touch you, you know, don't hesitate to start diving in of understanding more where it may lead you. Don't be scared. You have a lot of support, tools, resources that willing to help you, but just listen to that. And of course, if it resonated with you more, and if you would like to, whatever that may be that you want to work on, discover and experience, you can reach out at cindymarie.net and see whatever other things that I do. I call myself a multi-passionate, so I'm not only a navigator or a tool for everyone who want to transform their life, but I have other things that I love to share as part of my advocacy. Just follow me whenever it feels right for you at Cindy Marie Azure as part of my social media, and that's it.
Only because of the hum, I keep turning my mic off. Cindy Marie, thank you so very much for joining me and sharing on today's conversation. And it's been a real conversation. It really has. And thank you so very much for that. It's been a real pleasure. It really has. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Folks, next week, how to use your human design to express your life purpose. And I'm being joined by Nikki Mendham. So I hope that you will join us for that on our Gift of Healing TV program. The next today's conversation will be next month in July. So take care, sweet souls. Be safe. Stay well. Cindy Marie, thank you. And we'll see you
Thank
again.
you. See you
Now.
again soon. Namaste.